is next year we're not going to do a 10-day trip through the Sierras.
Why not?
There's not going to be a 10-day adventure because next year we're going to Nepal and we're going to base camp of Everest.
That's right!
Yay! Above the trees, just a scrub. In 2023, Elvis and I achieved our long-held ambition to trek through the Himalayas to the base camp of Mount Everest. This was the most exciting adventure we've undertaken, so come join us as we share our story, from planning the expedition to realizing a phenomenal hiking experience we'll certainly never forget. The 15 highest peaks in the world, over 8,000 meters, are all in the Himalaya range of mountains in Asia, spanning Nepal, Pakistan and Tibet. Mount Everest, the highest, resides in the Sagarmatha National Park in Nepal on the border with Tibet and China. A trek to Everest Base Camp is possible either in the spring from March to May or in the fall from September to October. The monsoon season separates these two windows when the precipitation is way too high to support trekking and the winter months are bitterly cold. In deciding what time to go, there are a number of trade-offs. The fall season has the clearest skies and the potential for the best views, but the trail is crowded with trekkers. The spring conditions can sometimes be a bit hazy, particularly in the afternoon. However, the trails are a little less crowded, although still quite busy. And towards the end of the spring, the rhododendrons and the mountain cherries are in bloom, which can be spectacular. Spring also offers the opportunity to meet some of the Everest climbers as they head up to base camp, preparing for the 1 to 2 week climbing window in early May, when the high winds on the Everest summit diminish briefly. The route begins at a town called Lukla, where there's a there and back trail largely up the Khumbu Valley, where Everest lives with a few of the other 8,000 meter peaks. We wanted to do a more ambitious trek than the standard Everest route, and so we selected a loop trek including the Gokyo Lakes, situated in a parallel valley east of the usual Khumbu route. The Gokyo Lakes are the highest lakes in the world, and by electing to go to Gokyo first, we achieved our second objective, to minimise the trekking amongst the heavy traffic of the other hikers. Ascent takes twice as long as descent for critical acclimatisation requirements, and much of this was done on the lesser populated Gokyo Trail. If you've watched our other backpacking adventures in the California Sierras, you know we like trails less travelled. However, the challenge of going to Gokyo first requires us to cross the 17,500 foot Chola Pass to reach the Khumbu Valley prior to reaching Everest. So there was some risk in terms of weather conditions and our own abilities. If we encounter poor weather or succumb to altitude sickness, we might not make it over the Chola Pass and miss the whole Everest Base Camp experience. The third key decision was choice of trekking company. We wanted the flexibility of being a single client rather than joining a large trekking group. Choosing a reputable organisation paid major dividends in the overall hiking experience. Our friend Yvonne recommended an organisation she had used called the Heart of the Himalaya Treks Limited, run by KP Kafle. KP and his team have been guiding Himalaya treks for over 25 years for many customers, including in the past REI, and has an outstanding reputation. He also leads a non-profit organisation called Seeds, dedicated to improving the lives in Nepalese villages through education and development initiatives. Working with KP, we refined our expedition itinerary, and as a custom trip we had the flexibility to fine-tune it as we went along. It is now mandatory to hike with the support of a registered trekking organisation. Their experience was invaluable in creating an exciting and doable trip plan, incorporating the critically important acclimatisation rest days in great locations. So it looks like we have an acclimatisation day at Namche Bazaar. So where is that?
Namche Bazaar here.
Yeah,
So there's a big town here.
Yeah.
Gokyo will be the next acclimatization day.
Yes, Gokyo is where we have a spare day, and that day we go climb a local mountain. KP's trekking company will provide a guide and 2 porters. We'll meet our guide, Harry, at the pre-trek dinner in Kathmandu. Harry is a trekking veteran who has an encyclopedic knowledge of not only the trails and the mountains, but also the culture and traditions of the Sherpa people. We're looking forward to learning a lot about Nepal and the whole Himalaya region. Our two porters, Deepak and Uta, would hike multiple days from their village in the mountains to meet us at the trek starting point in the town of Lukla. Between the two of them, they would carry all our bags, including Harry's, as well as their own gear. Harry will organise all the accommodation on the trip. This consists of hostels, called tea houses, distributed all along the trails, shown in yellow on the map. The quality varies considerably, and this is where a good guide can make a really big difference. The tea houses become more rustic the higher you go. Electricity and hot showers lower down to solar power with no running water further up. A good night's sleep, accompanied with good food, is an important component to a successful and enjoyable expedition. So this is what we normally take on a backpacking trip. A 65-litre backpack and 45 pounds worth of gear for a long trip. So we need to figure out, Elvis, what we take on this kind of trip.
But this is a big one.
Yeah. So this is what the porter will carry. Will be a duffel bag, like so. And he'll carry that on his back. He'll carry two of these on his back. And there's a day pack.
Okay, and this is what we are going to carry. So much smaller. You can see the size. It's like this camera clipper thingy. And great thing about this is if you got a camera, put it here. It's super awesome.
That's so easy to take on and off.
Super cool.
Yeah, that would be really
I think I would say this is a must-have for anyone serious about taking pictures.
Yeah, I will be taking my GoPro, which will be attached to my hiking pole as usual, so that will be ready for action. But the combination of his camera and my GoPro will be what we'll take most of our video with.
I think traditional SLR will be still a little bit heavy. If you get the mirrorless, that would be perfect. So this is the mirrorless that I have. So,
okay, that's that bit. So now, Elvis, thinking about what we normally take on a backpacking trip, maybe we'll go through our usual gear and decide what we do take, what we don't take. So what about our camp stove? Do we need to take our camp stove?
If you want instant noodle on our way. No, come on. Somebody is going to cook for us, right?
Oh, that's right, because we're going to stay at tea houses along the way where cooking will be all taken care of. And similarly, we won't have to take our bear canisters because there are no bears, and we don't need to take any food because that will all be provided.
What about Bigfoot?
So we don't need frying pans or any cooking gear. What about a sleeping bag?
I expect they will give us some of those blankets, but I think on the safe side we still need it.
By the time we get up to Gorak Shep near base camp, it's going to be very cold. What we won't need to take though is a mattress pad, because tea houses do have 2 beds in each of the rooms, so with a mattress.
Yes.
So Elvis, what about water filter?
It's better be, because I'm not sure about the water situation there.
Yeah, the last thing we want to do is to get sick.
Exactly.
Because when you're at high altitude, you just don't get better. We will take the water filter.
So we're talking about the water in, how about water out, how about the pee bottle?
We don't know how far we're going to be from a toilet in the tea houses, and they can be dark at night. So if you're willing to go with it, having a pee bottle with you is...
It's a lifesaver, trust me.
Now, what sort of things do we need to take that maybe we don't normally take? I hear that power is a concern, so taking plenty of battery with you is important, because some of the tea houses, their entire power is solar driven, so even the tea house is short of power, let alone having facility to charge our batteries. And what with cameras and phones and GoPros, we need to make sure that we don't run out of juice. What about clothing? Do you take anything different to what you would take on a normal backpacking trip?
Actually, I do. I carry the thick and light, hopefully, jacket.
Yeah. The emphasis is still on layers, because it's going to get warm during the day for like 2 hours and cold the rest of the time. And on my side, I normally backpack with my lightweight puffy jacket, but for this I've got a much thicker one, because it will be cold at night, and apart from in the eating areas of the tea houses, there's no other heating, so there will be times when we're in cold environments. As far as take usual toiletries, I guess, that we would normally take, showers are kind of ones in the lower tea houses will have facilities, the ones higher up will have less. One of the things we will take to combat altitude sickness is Diamox. And Diamox is a medication you take as a preventative. It doesn't cure altitude sickness, but it definitely helps symptoms. So you start taking that a day or so before you start really hitting the altitude.
Yeah, I believe that's a prescribed med, so you need
That's
to
right.
talk to your doctor.
Yeah. If you get sick, the only way really to get better is to go down in altitude, which clearly is going backwards. And some people have to be airlifted to safety. So with the planning complete and our equipment assembled, we're finally ready to fly off to Nepal and embark upon our great Himalaya adventure. Watch out for our next video, where we will endure the scary flight to Lukla and start our trek to the Gokyo Lakes and onwards to Everest Basecamp.